Today we're discussing Saffron Finance. This altcoin project, ticker symbol SFI, we'll be digging into their GitHub, their platform, their documentations, and then lastly, this coin, the SFI token. Really what you need to know about this as far as in the DeFi lending space. So when you're looking at liquidity pools, this is one it's very interesting because it kind of sets its part away from the pack. There's a lot of different projects in this space aiming at the same thing, to be like the best liquidity provider platform. Now, with SFI, really what they're doing is they're allowing you to customize your risk to return ratio. So let's say, you've made nice profits in another altcoin project or in, your online business or in stocks, whatever you've made nice profits in, and let's say 10% of that you're willing to have very, very high risk with. So maybe you go with a lending platform that's offering, 150% APY. For example, we covered a project that went from $1 to $20, Pancake swap, ticker symbol CAKE, in our February top 5 altcoins, where I literally tracked every week the price action, and it absolutely exploded. So this is one where on their platform, you can actually get 150% just on the Cake token. So not only do you have those giant gains, but you could be getting, this crazy return on this, this annual percentage rate. And with this, yes, it is high risk because any project like this is subject to, somebody trying to exploit their code. And really what you need to know is with Saffron, they allow you to adjust this. So let's say you have a low risk tolerance, you can choose something else. So that's pretty much it for the intro. Let's hop right into Saffron.
All right, we're here on Saffron.finance. Again, this project is so interesting because it really helps you optimize your yield if you're going to be a liquidity provider. And when you see, you just go in here, you can launch that. Make sure you're on the official app.saffron.finance. I will have this link down below in the description. Do not be just searching this on Google and clicking whatever random link without looking. Make sure it's this exact domain address because there's so many scammers in the space. It's very, very key, guys, especially as you get further kind of down this decentralized finance space. There's so many things out there that you need to watch out for. So they describe themselves as an asset collateralization platform where liquidity providers have access to dynamic exposure by selecting customized risk and return profiles. So in plain English, just to understand this, essentially an asset collateralization platform is where you're putting your asset up. Based on that, you can either get a loan or you can have a yield if you're lending this out to people. So just like banks do this, for example, in the centralized finance space or traditional finance, the liquidity providers in that case, in the bank's case, are actually the customers of the bank, which in kind of a way are the product, sadly, in the centralized banking system. But with this, we're removing the middleman and just creating a pure, peer-to-peer collateralization platform where there's not, one central bank in the middle of things. We're really removing that, and that's why I really like Saffron. I think this project is very interesting. Yes, there are others out here obviously helping with liquidity providers getting a nice return, but with this, it's very interesting because, as they say here, this dynamic exposure is very interesting because you can actually, instead of just having a black and white, okay, I enter my money in this pool with maybe something like Uniswap or PancakeSwap or Sushi, these decentralized exchanges where you can earn a nice annual percentage rate, instead of just having like a black and white opportunity there, you can essentially change your risk and customize it for your exact return. So in my opinion, it's good to be spread out. I use things like BlockFi. I don't just go black and white and I'm only going to go with BlockFi. I try not to be idealistic with it or go like I'm only going to go with Balancer, only going to go with Aave or Uniswap or PancakeSwap, any of these things. I try and really spread them out, test them all because I'm interested in this for the long term. It's again, it's only I can't remember the exact stat. It's something like 3% of Ethereum wallets have used decentralized finance. It's crazy. So how early we are in this. And then you have to think, okay, what percentage of the world actually has an Ethereum wallet address? So it's so early, guys. Again, most of these places, speaking of early, beta warning, smart contracts are not audited, use at your own risk. That's part of the thing here, guys. So I'm not even necessarily saying that you should interact with this. Do your own research with this, as always. That's why I always say, check the GitHub. Make sure you're checking their white paper, all these different things. Check the community, make sure they're active. But the main here, that thing that I'm interested in is the Saffron Finance token because, actually we'll get to that in a second. We'll take a look at the chart, but I'm getting a little too far ahead of myself. I did want to touch on this. They're on their docs page. This is part of the do your own research. I always talk about that in the description down below. There's a video, how to do your own research. Go check that out. So, pools. This ecosystem consists of pools of liquidity. Pools in Saffron Finance collect deposit-based assets from liquidity providers to deploy them on platforms to earn interest. For example, the first Saffron pool is the DAI pool, very important stablecoin, DAI, which launched on the DAI/Compound adapter. Compound's another great project I didn't mention, but it's another one that I'm using. When I was saying I like to diversify, it's because with these different platforms, they all are at risk of some sort of breach, some sort of hack. Now, it's in my opinion, it's less of a risk than having your money sit in the bank at 0.05 interest rate. Losing money when you compare that with inflation. So I prefer to diversify the risk, make sure I understand the protocol, not invest anything more than I'm willing to risk. Always have, I always have an emergency fund. I always have about like 2 to 3 years of expenses just paid for up front. So no matter what happens, that I'm good and I have a consistent stream of income. But when you're looking at investments, the main thing that you want to look for is, okay, what's your risk ratio? What's your risk tolerance? How much are you willing to risk here? Are you just looking for short-term gains, long-term gains? I always have people ask me in the comments like, okay, what should I do here? And it's like, man, what's the end game goal? You have to begin with the end in mind. That's something that's so important. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach. I really try and preach that on the channel. Nothing is black and white, guys. You have to understand that. So remove kind of this binary way of thinking, which, that's kind of how the education system taught a lot of people to think, and just binary, like you passed or you failed. That's not how the real world works. There's nuance in this world, and you have to take a really balanced approach to understand things. Thesis, antithesis, synthesis. It's called the natural law. It's something that's very, very basic. You want to see things as more of experiments. That's the way that I view investing. That's the way I view a lot of things in life. Is you don't want to just think like, oh, this is good or this is bad, or this is a scam, this isn't a scam. No. Test things out. If something's clearly a scam, then just don't interact with it. But always be curious. That's one of the main things. Be curious and experiment. Test things. So, adapters. Connected pooled capital to platforms. This adapter is the DAI compound adapter. The DAI compound adapter, as its name suggests, connects the DAI pool with the compound platform. So, guys, again, this is something that's very interesting. I would go deeper into this if you're interested. But yeah, so you can see here the DAI compound pool, the REP BTC pool, the Rari pool. Yep, okay, so all these USDC. And then you see the tranche multiplier here. We can do another video in further detail if you guys want to get really in the nitty gritty, but I just kind of wanted to introduce you to this topic because a lot of people are unfamiliar with Saffron. I did talk about it as one to watch this week, and I'm sticking with that. I really like this project. I'm a long-term kind of thinker in that for the SFI token, but yeah, it's still very early in this. You can see about $150 million market cap. We see down a little bit on the daily at time recording this. We're sitting around $1,800. 24-hour trading volume is a little bit below what I would like to see. I'd like to see it around 10 million, but it's at 6 million currently. So if we just zoom all the way out, which is most important, you got to always look at the max chart. Zoom all the way out. You see this kind of level right here, this around the $2,000 level of support and resistance. We broke past it. We tested it multiple times here. Boom, boom. Kind of got close to it. Now we dip back down. Most likely I could see a further dip down to 1,500 and then touch back up, maybe get rejected again, and then we break through it. So this is something that's very interesting, but again, all of this is dictated off the Bitcoin dominance charts. So obviously, it would have been nice to get in back here around what was the all-time low? Yeah, $41.44. But this is one, again, that if you're interested in this, if you understand it, I would say long-term perspective, as with most things. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you think about Saffron Finance, SFI. As always, invest global, and until next time.